Cool.
Awesome.
Yep.
Let's do it. All right. Today we're at Eagle Mountain with 𝙎𝙬𝙾, and we're gonna do a little rant and ride where I talk about all the things that I'd like to be open with the audience about, and it's just a good time to be unscripted and kind of candid about what's going on with the channel and what my plans are. So I usually do one of these about every year, but it's been a while, so yeah. I guess first off, thanks to everyone who's continued to support me. The channel has, you know, obviously exploded since I last did one of the video like this. And we're now at 302,000 subscribers, I believe. And 171 million views. And 1.7 million hours of watch time, which is very, very insane to think about. That's a few human lives worth of time of people have spent watching my videos. So in a way I'm honored, but wow, that's kind of scary. Yeah, haven't ridden in about 2.5 weeks here. This is my first ride back after what was a pretty significant rainstorm here in BC. We call it an atmospheric river, and one of the areas that was hardest hit was actually 𝙎𝙖𝙋𝙋𝙊𝙍𝙍, which is well, not conveniently, unfortunately, where my two local mountains are, being 𝙎𝙾 and Eagle. And we got 292 millimeters of rain in 48 hours. We got 224 mil in 24 hours. And we got 100 millimeters in 6 hours. All three of those, as far as I'm aware, are records for 𝙎𝙖𝙋𝙋𝙊𝙍. So the trails were actually pretty severely impacted, especially at 𝙎𝙾 Mountain. And talk about it in a minute. Regroup. As I was saying, 𝙎𝙾 Mountain is definitely very negatively affected with multiple access roads washing out and the trails in general seeing way more water than they were ever designed to handle. So I spent quite a bit of time and effort rounding up the community to complete trail reports for every single trail in the 𝙎𝙾 and Eagle network. And that took quite a bit of time. Went on 4 hikes that were between 4 and 6 hours, and then spent easily that or more summarizing trail reports that other people sent me. So the good news is that that assessment is now done. So every single trail on these two mountains has an accurate trail report, and a lot of them are open, on Eagle especially, but a lot of them are also closed, mostly on 𝙎𝙾. So if you're looking for a way to help out, the 𝙎𝙾 Eagle Facebook group is the best place to coordinate, I guess, rebuilding efforts. So reach out on there if you're willing to help out and want to get back to the trails. I guess, what else should I talk about? This corner, it's very good. I guess the big news is that as of last video, Insta360 is now a sponsor of this channel. And that's something that I'm quite proud of, actually, and they've been really, really nice to work with so far. Definitely one of the easiest to work with brands that I've had to deal with so far. And their new camera is actually really, really good. They're not paying me to say this. This is not a sponsored video. This is purely my opinion. And at the end of the day, one of my one of my most important values is integrity. And the way that manifests in sponsorships is I will never take a deal with a brand that I don't truly believe in their product. So I've never done that before, and I'll never do that in the future. The number of brands that email me that you have never heard of before, every single day, is impressive. And I say no to probably 96 to 98% of the deals. But when a company like Insta360 reaches out with a new camera that I got to try out before the launch, and it was actually very impressive, you say yes, because a deal like that allows you to continue to live this amazing lifestyle and do what you love doing. We'll talk a bit about this on the second lap, but Insta360 and potentially 1 to 2 other major brands that you've heard of have reached out in the past few months and are really gonna make this channel something that I can do for quite a bit longer. Whew. Let's get back up there. All right, lap number 2. And this time, instead of talking about the current situation, we're gonna talk about the reality here that often does not make it to YouTube, and I think a lot of people will be surprised to hear some of this stuff. So first off, I've been making videos since about 2005. So about 20 years in some capacity or another. I did it before I made money off them, and I will continue to do it after I stop making money on them, because making videos is something that I truly enjoy. But making videos takes a lot of time. It takes time to plan, takes time to film, takes a lot of time to edit. And I personally take a lot of time to engage with my audience. That's why you see me always in the comment section, responding to DMs, etc., etc. So, because you often see this kind of content, or just so much content online, I ran the numbers, I've made about 50 hours of long form content since 2020. A lot of people are under the conception that YouTubers must be rich, and that I just make oodles and oodles and oodles of money, like so much that I don't even know what to do with it. And that's just simply not the case. And I'm gonna break down the numbers once we regroup. Let's get it. Okay, so I mentioned the numbers at the start of this video, but let's just recap them. 302,000 subscribers, 171 or 2 million views, and 1.7 million hours of watch time. Last year, these are the numbers overall, but last year in the previous 365 days, my YouTube channel has made $9,900 in Canadian ad revenue before taxes. That is not very much. So by the time the taxman takes their share and this, that, and whatever, I'm down to about 5,000. Whoop, not gonna make that today. A little wet. Down to about 5,000 US of just income per year off of YouTube alone. So that is, again, not very much, and that does not cover rent in a city like Vancouver, where I live in one of the most expensive cities in the world in terms of earnings to housing ratio. I think it's number 3. And YouTube, it's just not a feasible career path doing what I'm doing. So I realize that, and in the past couple of years I've tried to make a more variety of content, partly because I like the challenge of trying to master a new style, be that a bike check or a tech-explained video or even a camera video. But the one bit of content that has really resonated with me are the reviews. I really like doing them. I think that my educational background and professional background make for quite a unique, I guess, perspective on a lot of these reviews. And based on the metrics, a lot of people agree with me that they quite enjoy my reviews as something different and maybe refreshingly honest. And I'm really happy with that. But at the end of the day, review videos, I'm going very slow because it's very wet and scary. Review videos are counted in that $9,900 of pre-tax ad revenue. So they take more time to make. They make, on average, the same amount of income per year as doing, let's say, twice the amount of riding content. But yeah, they're a lot more work. So I'd love to continue doing them, and I think my goal for 2025, this is skipping ahead a little bit, is to create one review video per year. Or not per year. One detailed review video per month on the channel. So obviously there's going to be some waves here and there, but 12 review videos in 2025 is my target. They're not going to be all brakes, and they're not going to be maybe even bike parts. Some might be cameras, some might be a camera lens, I don't know. but I really like the style and the format, and they present a fun challenge that I get, I guess, satisfaction and enjoyment from. So we're definitely going to continue with that. But again, those don't pay the bills. So next lap, we're going to talk about brand deals. Okay, lap 3, let's talk about brand deals and what that means for you as the audience. So there's effectively 3 different types of brand deals, and one of them you should never take. So the first one is giving free components or free parts or equipment in exchange for produced content, be that ads or dedicated videos or whatever. In my opinion, you should never take an offer like this, because the equipment is the tool required to do the job and not adequate compensation for your time. So typically I recommend not taking product in exchange for work, but if a company wants to send product, then by all means, if there's no required ask or deliverable associated, then it seems like a good way of supporting you, because ultimately you have to pay tax on it anyway. Especially when you have to sell it, you have to pay tax 2 ways. Okay, the second type of brand deal is what's called the integration. Now, typically this is one of the most common forms, probably the most common form, and usually it looks like a 20 to 1 minute section toward the beginning of the video where someone says, this video is brought to you by blank. And then they either tell you about the company right then and there, or they tell you about it later in the video. But the video has nothing to do with the company necessarily. They're purely sponsoring the video and allowing the creator to make what is a fair and comfortable wage. So integrations are something that's very common in like major YouTube channels, especially the tech sector. So Linus Tech Tips is a great example where more or less every video has a sponsor, and it's announced in a very, very structured 20-second block at the start of the video. And everyone understands that. Everyone understands that that's the way that they're able to turn a profit and hire employees and this and that. But mountain biking is such a niche sport with, I would say, very stingy advertisers, at least in the bike industry, that having ad integrations in every video that are at least relevant to mountain biking is a pipe dream. So you see people often having ad integrations by, whoop, hey, all good? Thank you. Have a good one. So you see people often take ad integrations from companies that are outside the bike industry because typically they have the budget to pay the creator a fair wage. And that could be things like, could be VPNs, could be food, could be Insta360, could be companies like that. And the way that I draw the line here is if it's a product that I enjoy using and something that I genuinely believe in, then yeah, I'm more than happy to take an ad integration deal, because it's something that I personally use, and it's a fantastic way to keep the channel running and ultimately keep my lights on. Now, the third type of brand deal is what's more common with small to medium-sized channels, and that is the long-term or dedicated video approach. Now, the way that this works, at least for the audience, I'm gonna go around that, it's a bit wet, is a company will approach a creator and they will want a video produced. Now, often it's a review, but on principle, I refuse to do paid reviews, and the Dale scale will never come out when it is a paid, I guess, product video like that. But overview videos are pretty common, so I've done quite a bit of those with cameras in the past little bit. And comparison videos also with cameras, those are pretty popular. But these could also manifest themselves in terms of like a bike check or a specific riding video that is tailored to a specific bike or platform. And these deals are slightly more frequent in the bike industry, typically with outside bike industry companies. And although they're not often as lucrative per deliverable as the integration style, what they do provide is a solid source of like a recurring income. So you know exactly where your next meal is coming from, you know that you're gonna make rent, and you have some level of stability. Obviously, you're still an entrepreneur, you're still a content creator on your own. There's a lot of volatility in that alone, but doing, you know, more formal, longer term, dedicated video brand deals with brands that you are passionate about and actually believe in is probably the easiest way to make sure that I can keep doing this for years to come. Because as I mentioned, it takes a lot of time to make these videos, respond to comments, do this, do that. And I think people maybe underestimate quite how much time it takes. And it doesn't pay the bills on its own. So brand deals allow me to keep doing this for as long as possible. I'll always do it forever, but at the rate that I'm doing it, brand deals are critical to making this channel just keep moving. Whew. Gotta climb one more time and then let's talk about the future.
Yeah, cool.
Let's do it. Okay, lap 4. Let's talk about the future. So, this trail, I gotta be a little bit careful because there is quite a bit of work on it. But I'm gonna make a prediction here. And it's a prediction that I made for several years now, but I think every year that passes, it becomes more and more accurate. But action cameras have gotten to a point where posting POV riding footage alone is no longer a way to make any sort of money or living on YouTube. Uh-oh.
Mr. Stone.
How's it going? Yeah, I lost my train of thought there a little bit, but it's always super nice to see Steve. He's put in so much work on Eagle, and he's the reason that the climb trail is as pleasant as it is now. But where was I? Let's take a look. Okay, after reviewing the footage, you will never see the complete disappearance of POV riding content because it is ultimately something that is extremely easy to produce, especially with technology getting better and better. But the people who do it are going to be people who like making videos, who want to share it with family and friends, and not the kind of person who wants to get famous or build a super big, I don't know, important following. That's just not going to happen anymore. I think that window of time has passed. Maybe it's a few years past, honestly. But people like me still, there's a wet puddle, still love that style of footage, and you'll never actually see that disappear on my channel. I saw this week there was a very interesting Reddit thread that kind of theorized about the current state of mountain biking YouTube and why content has changed. And I thought it was really interesting. I thought quite a few of the comments about burnout are accurate. I think that a significant number of people who try to do what like Nick, Dave, and myself don't realize quite how much work it is, and also how little return there is for many, many years. So the amount of dedication required to have a successful YouTube channel is just really, really high, and people have started to realize that. So you're going to see a bit of a changing of the guard, if you will, of creators. Now, one of the ways to avoid this issue is to differentiate yourself. And there's a few ways you can do that. The first one is storytelling. So maybe you're a vacation rider, or maybe you built a trail, or maybe you went on a cool event. Like, those are awesome pieces of content, and people like BCPOV, Eric, do those exceptionally well. But storytelling is really hard and really time consuming, and you really have to have quite a good vision and arguably personality type to be able to do that. So you're not going to see it super widespread across mountain bike YouTube. Now, I've tried a few different types of content over the life of my channel. I started out doing like 100% riding content. That's all it was. That's all I said it would ever be. But I enjoy challenges, and I always enjoy trying like a new style or new genre or new something of content and seeing if I'm able to execute a successful video in that style. So I've done quite a bit of bike check stuff, camera stuff. I've done recently quite a bit of review stuff. I've done some tutorial stuff with my little tech explained series. That did not take off, unfortunately, because I quite like doing it. But between all of these styles, like let's back up a little bit. You have to find a way to differentiate yourself in a very, very competitive market. Like action sports social media will always be a competitive market. It's fun, it's interesting, it's like not that editing intensive to make a good video, versus something like out of breath, versus something like hiking, where to make a hiking video look interesting, you have to put quite a lot of work into scripting and narrating and editing and sound design and this and that. Action sports, no, quite simple, and it's always going to be very saturated, and it's going to be hard to find the money. You have to really fight. And one of the ways to get around that is by differentiating yourself. So the way that I found personally works well with me is review content. I really like doing review content. I really find it good. Ooh. I find it quite rewarding to do. I think that it is quite time intensive and money intensive to make, but I've always found that the ROI on more or less anything I buy, even these intent breaks, is positive. So if I can make more review videos, I'm more likely to succeed as a creator. And I also really enjoy the style itself, and making a review video that's, you know, honest and integral and blah 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 and resonates with my audience. I think I ran the numbers because the Reddit thread got me quite interested. And since 2020, I've made 50 hours of long form video content. I forget the hour numbers, but last year it was about 700 minutes. The year before that it was also 700 minutes. And so far this year, I think it's like 515 minutes. That goes to show you that, you know, more highly produced content takes more time to make, and you make less of it, but its reach is bigger, and often the community perception is much better for like a highly produced thing versus just a riding along clip. I think the numbers that I came to for 2024, like running totals, were 54% of my videos by time were riding content. So that doesn't mean there isn't an integrated ad. It just means that, excuse me, the focus of the video is riding, and that could be exploring a new trail or mastering a trail or whatever. But 54%. 28% of my videos this year were review style videos or journalistic pieces. So that could be like the history of Lewis video or any of my break reviews. And 28% is quite a lot. I wish that will be higher, and I think in the coming year it probably will be, as I focus more on that style of content. And the remaining 18% is what I'm going to call sponsored content, where I'm doing a brand deal, either a one-time or multi-video or a year-long ambassadorship style thing, where what was I saying? I got scared there. Okay, as I was saying, 18% sponsored content, which is typically commissioned content that is often used for marketing purposes by the brand that commissions it. Typically this has been in the form of camera launch videos and comparison videos, but there are bike brands that want to do similar style of videos, and I think that 18% is a number that I am okay with. Obviously I would strive to reduce that number as much as possible over the coming years, but if 18% is the percentage I need to, I guess, give up to be able to keep doing this and fund my lifestyle in at least a more comfortable way, then I'm okay with that. I imagine that the 54% of riding content is probably going to trend down over time, as it has over the previous few years. It'll never be zero. I would imagine by time it'll be like maybe 30% next year, and then 20% sponsored, and then hopefully 50% review style content. We'll see. Obviously, that's not set in stone. This isn't like something I planned for, but I think it's a reasonable goal and an aspirational one to have for the channel going forward. Woo! Well, I hope you found this video interesting and at the very least informative, because I really try to be open and honest with my audience about what the future of this channel looks like. I think that you're the reason. Ooh, hey, wow, that's pretty good. The audience, you are the reason I have this channel in the first place. And yeah, I hope we can grow together over the years to come. I think my plans for this year, short term, are to release a bike check on this lovely DD8 Claymore, release 2 brake reviews and 2 brake comparisons and a camera comparison, all before the end of 2024. So I have quite a bit of work on my plate right now, but it would be awesome to start 2025 with a clean slate. And all of those videos I think are going to do pretty well. I'm pretty excited about each of them. But yeah, let me know what you think about this video and everything that I've ranted about. Hopefully I made sense in the comments below. And yeah, overall you can expect not that much different in 2025, especially with regards to sponsorships and sponsored videos. I hope that they come at a very similar rate, but you can thank Insta360 and 1 to 2 additional sponsors potentially for me being able to continue doing this dream job for at least another year. So yeah, to 2025. And thanks for watching. Yeah.